The IS-6 is a Soviet Tier 8 premium heavy tank. Plans for this vehicle were drawn up in the construction bureau of the Chelyabinsk Kirov plant from December 1943 to the summer of 1944. Further development and the construction of the first prototype took place at the Uralmash plant. However, the vehicle had no advantages over the other heavy tank designs under consideration, and its armor was seen as inferior to the IS-4, so the IS-6 was not selected for production. In World of Tanks it sits at Tier 8 and it has a premium matchmaking, but let's see what it can do in some gameplay. Hello guys and welcome back to World of Tanks Ace Tanker series. As you can see, today we'll be driving the IS-6, and driving the IS-6 for us is Mr. Urke. The map is Tundra on the standard battle mode, and we are going to see how Mr. Urke is going to play this one out in his IS-6. He got into a pretty nice matchup here. There are only 5 tier 8 tanks on the enemy team and the rest are tier 7 and tier 6. So that means that he is not going to have to fire a lot of premium shells in his IS-6 because, well, if you know a thing about or two about the IS-6, you may well have known that this tank does not get that much of a gun because the gun is a standard Russian 175mm of penetration, 390 damage, a slightly higher DPM for a tier 8 tank, but still, with that low amount of penetration, he is going to struggle against tier 9 and, well, some tier 8s when he is engaged in frontally. So why am I saying only tier 9 and tier 8? Well, this tank, as you know, is premium tank and it has preferential matchmaking. There is only a couple of tanks that are left with preferential matchmaking, and this is one of them. It costs, I believe, around 11,500 gold in the premium shop, so if you are going to get one, you probably should know a couple of features about this tank now. I was talking about the gun. The second feature is the armor, and during this replay we are going to see how good the armor on the IS-6 is. We can see that Mr. Urke is playing on the left side, that is the standard heavy side. And we can see that the enemies are actually pushing on the zero line, which is, well, good for Mr. Urke, but not so great for his team, as the enemies have the advantage on the other side, and it's only a matter of time when they will finish off all of the tanks on that side and, well, then go on the flanking maneuver or go for the cap. Now Mr. Urke is aiming for this Panther 2, and you can see that the accuracy on the IS-6 is not that great. Yes, you get the big punching gun, but the dispersion and the aim time and the accuracy are not so great on this tank. The accuracy is 0.46, which is pretty bad, and you are not going to get any sniping shots from this tank at long ranges. So the best bet for you when fighting with this tank is to, well, go into the face of your enemies and try and fight them off like that. Have the great armor for it, and from the close range you are not going to be, well, you are not going to see the difference between the accuracy on the gun or no accuracy. So yeah, basically what you have to do here is going into your enemies' faces and blow them away. So you can see that Mr. Urke is pushing on the friendly cap. He did not want to push with the T-29 and the T-25 on the enemy cap. That may be a good or a bad decision here, but as we can see, he is going back to defend his own cap, and that is always the safer way to play this one out, because who knows, if the enemies have pushed here, killed the Tiger 6 and the Speerpanzer, it could be GG, game over for them, as they could easily cap and no way for the friendly tanks to come back and defend. So yeah, pushing on this side is pretty nice for Mr. Urke. So far so good. No enemy tanks on site, only that Hellcat on the other side, but if that Hellcat just pushes slightly forward, he is going to get shot from T-29 and the Tiger 6. Now Mr. Urke finds himself the AT-15A. It's a premium tier 7 British tank destroyer, and we are going to see how he fights it off with him. Nice shot on the underbelly of the AT-15A, and we can see that the AT-15A is penetrating the IS-6. Now, one or two things are happening here. Either the AT-15 is using premium shells, or he is finding the shots on the weak points of the IS-6, that is the small cupolas above the tank. But I don't believe that's the case, because he should be, I believe it's the lower profile than the IS-6, so no penetration from that position. And we can see that Mr. Urke is trying to push towards the AT-15. He puts two great shots in the top of the AT-15 and finishes them off. Well, the cap is near completion, only 14 seconds left, but we can see that the IS-6 and T-29 on the enemy team have done the same thing that Mr. Urke did here. They went towards the... well, they went to defend on the friendly cap, on their cap, and they, well, made it in time and stopped the cap at 8%, which is pretty nice for them. Now we can see that Mr. Urke is advancing through the position below the enemy cap, finds the shot on the T-29 and puts one great shot in his back. Now this position here is good enough for now if he doesn't get shot by the tanks that are on the hill, that's the Comet and T-21, but it looks like they have more problems of their own. They are fighting off with the Speerpanzer and the T-29, so he's pretty safe here. He can advance on the T-29 and the IS-6. The T-29 and the IS-6 are split into good position here. The IS-6 tries to go for Mr. Urke, but shooting premium shells by Mr. Urke on that IS-6 finishes him off pretty nicely here. Now switches to regular shells for the T-29, enough of penetration to go through the armor of the T-29 and to, well, we'll see about this, he should be able to finish him off with this shot. Finds the shot, kills him, and immediately gets himself into another trouble here now with the Panther 2. The Panther 2 has around 203 millimeters of penetration, 240 damage, which is pretty nice, and it is enough to go through the armor of the IS-6, so you're safe when you're fighting with the tanks that do not have 200 millimeters of armor. But you can see that the Panther 2 is also struggling with the armor of the IS-6, and well, Mr. Urke is playing really nicely here. He is tracking the Panther 2 every shot, with his every shot, and not allowing him to push forward. Will he have the finishing shot? Yes, he finishes him off, and with a couple of shots here, he turns the game around. With the help of the Tiger 6 Heavy, he was able to put down the Panther 2 with only 4 shells. Now we can see that the Comet is fighting off with the Speerpanzer 1C. I believe that it should not be the problem for the Speerpanzer to finish off the Comet, but it looks like he is reloading and the Comet is taking advantage here. Sets him on fire and finishes him off. Now that Comet is in a nice position to fight off with the Heavy that is in the cap, but we'll see if he is expecting for Mr. Urke to come from his side, or will he go for the reset on the cap. Now the game was really nice. If we take a look back, the decision to go back and defend the cap was the good decision. After that he was able to come from the side and the back on the heavy tanks and finish them off in the middle. Just going to try and find this Comet here. There he is looking towards the cap, puts one into the tier 6 heavy. Another one shooting for the heavy, but I don't believe he sees the IS-6 for Mr. Urke coming from the sides. Yep, that's a GG, and let's take a look at the post-game stats. As we can see, Mr. Urke had a really nice game here. He got a couple of medals like Bruiser, Duelist, Fighter, Fire for Effect, Shellproof, a Steel Wall, High Caliber, and of course the Master Badge Ace Tanker. On team score sheet we can see that he did over 4000 damage, 5 kills and 1400 experience. On detailed report we can see that he fired 17 shots, of which 40 hit the target and 14 penetrated. He was also able to block 17 shots and 2200 damage. And with the premium account he was able to score 81,000 credits. If we take a look back at what we saw in this gameplay, we saw that the enemies had made a mistake by not putting more heavies on the heavy side, and that allowed Mr. Urke and the other heavy tanks to push through that side and flank them from the other side. But as they were pushing on the left side, the enemies have pushed the right side. Then we got into a stalemate from which Mr. Urke was forced to go back and defend his cap. After the successful defend of the cap, he was able to go through the middle towards the enemy cap and surprise the couple of tanks in the middle from the back, put some great shots in and finish them off quickly. During the course of replay, we saw excellent use of the armor and the proper way to use the IS-6 from the close range combat with the proper use of premium and regular ammo. As always guys, I hope you like this one. If you like it, like it. If you dislike it, dislike it. If you have any comments or questions, you can leave it in the comment section down below. And if you are wondering what to watch next, you can see the previous replay. It's the T-54 mod 1. As always, if you haven't subscribed already, you can do it now. I hope you guys like this one, and I'll see you in the next one.